Selectmen 3-0 and Budget Committee 6-0. As I mentioned, we have a load limit now on that bridge, which presents a problem for our fire trucks, for fuel delivery trucks, that kind of thing. And Jim was just under it. He's our road agent. Jim Beam was just under it not too long ago. And in fact, just this week indicated it's getting worse. Now this is a fix that we can do to bring it up to the load limit, but it's not a total replacement at all of the bridge. The state still will come in to do that, but we've been told it's not going to affect our place in line in regards to having the state come in and do a complete replacement. Anything on that one?
And we have put that,
Go ahead, Chip.
we have put up, or it is going out to bid as we speak. So hopefully we'll have a firm number at town meeting of what the actual repair work is going to cost. And hopefully it'll come in less than 88.5 and we'll amend the warrant article at that time.
And that is an extra $7,000 we're gonna pay HEB on top of this one here, right? It's
Yeah,
not all
it's about
included, it's separate.
$6,500 for them to put it out to bid.
And that's in the operating budget that we've already gone through.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just combining everything, 30,000 here, $7,000 here, whatever, they all end up eventually. Okay,
We all pay for it all.
Yeah.
You're right, Joe.
thank you.
Okay. The next one, Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $89,318 to pay a third installment towards the ambulance vehicle and rescue truck acquired by a town meeting vote in March of 2016. The principal amount is $82,843. The interest is $6,475. The lease agreement contains an escape clause. Majority vote required, recommended by Board of Selectmen 3-0 and Budget Committee 6-1. This is the one I was talking about before. We had it in the operating budget, but now DRA is saying because it has an escape clause, we have to bring it back to the people each year, unless it's the last year of the contract.
I'd like to speak to that.
Okay.
In 2016, these vehicles were presented as separate warrant articles, and I'm still confused as how we can actually vote to make the payments as one lump sum on both vehicles. I haven't heard an explanation to that yet.
Adam?
Because it was one lump sum that paid for the two vehicles. It's one,
Finance are the same?
they're financed through the same company.
Okay.
That makes
Which
sense.
was cheaper in the long run. If you did it two vehicles separately, it would have been more interest rate. So they did it as one lump sum and paid this stuff off for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. All right.
Carl?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Joe.
I'm not done yet, okay?
Okay.
I was gonna ask Karen this question, but I'll make it to the selectmen. They had a conversation at the table the other day and we were talking about this, okay? And I don't quite understand the escape clause. Does that mean if we all get up and say, no, we don't want this anymore, it can go, but it doesn't quite go away because you said we would have to create some type of warrant article so we could pay. I was confused with the whole conversation at the point. And the reason I'm asking all these questions tonight, because I try to keep my mouth shut when I'm behind the camera during the day. So, can you elaborate a little bit more?
If at town meeting, this warrant article fails, then that the town governing bodies exercise their rights to this escape clause. And the ambulance and rescue vehicle go back to the company that financed them.
But I thought you guys said then you could generate some income or you could create something or you would pay the tab for that year or something. And that's the part I was confused about when I thought you were talking about it.
I'm confused about it.
Okay, fine. If I want, I guess I can go back on the tapes and look at it. Just for a week or
We're
so.
talking about the same thing.
Yes, Lloyd?
What you are confused about, Joe, is capital reserve funds can be used to pay the last year's payment on a lease because you're physically purchasing the vehicle. It has happened in this town where we paid off a lease 2 years early.
Okay,
Do you understand that they come out of capital reserve funds if it's the last payment? This is something new that DRA started this year.
okay, and I just try, and the capital reserve funds, what account is that, where's that come from? Capital reserve of what?
If the town meeting were to vote to take money out of capital reserve funds,
Designated fund balance.
yeah,
Oh, thank you, okay, I mean, it has so many words, so I don't, you know. Okay, go ahead, thank you.
Adam?
There currently is no capital reserve funds set up for fire apparatus or anything along that line, so it's a moot point.
Even if there were, it still would require a vote of the town.
Correct.
Yeah. So technically, the town could vote to send it back.
Right.
Right,
And,
and all I want, you know, it's been tossed around, and all I wanted was to be explained, so this is the place to ask the questions, so hopefully, you know. Thank you.
okay.
Could I just
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Max.
read from the relevant RSA, which is 3515, expenditures for capital reserves, paragraph 3, subparagraph A. Capital reserve funds may be used for multiple payments under a financing agreement for the purpose for which the capital reserve was established. If the financing agreement is a lease/purchase agreement, the following shall apply. 1. The lease purchase agreement does not contain an escape clause or non-appropriation clause. So if there is an escape clause, the capital reserve can't be used.
Correct. Anything else?
And the next subparagraph B, if agents have been named according to the RSA, then no further vote is required to disperse the funds following the initial vote. So it all depends on the wording of the.
Yeah. DRA will send it back if it's worded in a way that they don't think this is technically correct. All right. The next one, we were on 18. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee recommended sum of $3,742,050.24 for general town operations. The selectmen recommended $3,342,305.24. Here's where the $250 comes in. This article does not include any special or individual warrant articles. Addressed separately, majority vote required, recommended by Budget Committee 5-1-1. So one against, and our selectman's rep, because he voted as a selectman, one man, he chose to abstain from this vote. And then the last one that we mentioned is in Article 19 that came in by petition. And it reads, to see if the town meeting will vote to establish a capital reserve fund for the purpose of purchasing or leasing vehicles and equipment for the use in the fire department, police department, code enforcement department, transfer station department, and highway department, and further to appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be deposited into said fund. The full amount, the $50,000, will come from the previously raised unused funds in the unassigned fund balance and not from additional taxation in 2018. No purchase or lease utilizing these funds will be made without the express approval by warrant article submitted by the select board or by petition. Majority vote required, not recommended by Board of Selectmen 03, and the Budget Committee 07. And, excuse me, let me just say again, this was, we send all the warrant articles to DRA to review the verbiage. This one came in right at the end of the time allotted by the state to send things in. DRA sent it back and said there's a technical problem with the wording, but it already was past the time to send it in again. And Board of Selectmen can't, because it's a petitioned article, Board of Selectmen, of course, can't change any of the wording. It has to come from the person or persons petitioning for this one. So the no votes are strictly no votes on the wording, not on the merits of the warrant article. And the petitioners have been notified that they can bring it up and reword it at town meeting. So it'll probably, even though we voted no, they'll be able to, of course, bring it up and yes, Max.
So given what the RSA that I just read that said capital reserve funds can be used for a lease agreement as long as there isn't an escape clause. Now, we have, in my experience, always had an escape clause, which seems like a good thing just to have. But given that you can use capital reserve funds for leases, I don't see why the wording would need to be changed. But if DRA says that,
Yeah.
then DRA says that. And I would imagine that at town meeting, we can just take out the word lease. And the point of a capital reserve fund, in my view, is so that you can just purchase something without a lease. So really, you know, the goal of the capital reserve is to avoid taking out loans, in my opinion.
Okay,
So,
thank you. We will, I'm sure you'll bring it up in town meeting and
did DRA give a specific instruction?
Yeah.
yeah, they
They did.
did. And it's about the or lease wording. We have to take that out.
Actually, yeah, there's copies at the town office.
Oh, okay.
We just got it the other day. One day.
Okay?
That was an email, or was it an email from them?
I believe so. We're missing one in here.
Which one am I missing?
The one that we need to vote, and it has to be a 2/3 ballot vote on changing the wording of the current library capital.
Oh, because it's not a money article, we don't vote on that one.
Isn't that a money?
No, they're changing the wording. It has to go before the,
I think DRA considered it a money article, or we wouldn't have to have a 2/3 vote.
we didn't vote on that one at all.
Okay.
Because it's changing the wording. Yeah, it's not changing any money.
No money tied to it at all. No figure.
I'm fine with it, if you're fine with it.
Yeah,
But I know that it's gonna need a 2/3 vote.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it should probably happen before the library vote, because without it, we don't have 410,000.
Yeah.
I think that was going to be the first article, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Karen?
That's correct.
And the library warrant article isn't until number 4.
There were 2 ballot articles and then the library, capital reserve change and use change and then the library itself.
Thank you, Karen.
Should,
Max?
is the order set at this point, or would you?
It's getting set, and I think our understanding and I think our agreement was that the changing of that wording is key to the library
Yeah.
happening.
Oh, I just wanted to make a suggestion, and maybe it's, maybe it's not a good suggestion, but if you flip the order of those so that the library one goes first, if the library doesn't pass, we can still have a discussion over whether we should change the purpose of the current capital reserve.
I don't think we can do that. The reason is, Max, because of the way the warrant article for the library is written, we're
Uh-huh.
taking money out of the capital reserve.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So it's
So we'll
contingent
have
upon
to-
that one passing.
Yeah, we'll have to.
I'm just thinking if the change the purpose passes, but the library doesn't pass, then we still can't spend the
And I'm
money
not
on
sure
the
of
current
the wording
library.
on that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's to build a new one and/or,
Right, it's to increase the capacity rather than reduce it. In other words, it's to add wording to say that we can do an addition or remodeling
Or a new building.
or a new
Yeah.
building.
Oh, well, that completely takes care of what I was just thinking,
Yeah.
so.
okay. Next on our agenda, I believe, is I'm always excited about our graphs. Do you want me to help you hold that up? I'm gonna do it from where you are here. Get out your good glasses, folks. And thank you again to Helen for,
When I joined the budget committee, I started thinking about wanting to know how the budget money was going to be spent and what we really wanted from the town for the money that we were giving the town. So what I found out was I broke down the budget by department and by expense type. 69% of our budget goes for health and safety. The fire department is 27%, police department is 16%, the transportation 13%, and highway is also 13%. And then if you look at it by type, 50% of our budget is spent on salary and benefits. And then another 15% of it goes for administrative costs, which includes postage, printing, trash disposal. The big thing is the trash disposal from the transfer station. And then I thought, well, over the last 5 years, what have we done? And what you'll see is that over the last 5 years, the budget has increased $500,000. And of that, $430,000 is due to salary and benefit increases. So, and then I looked also, how did the budget increase over our actual expenses last year? It increased 4% over last year's expenses. But if you compare it to how much it increased over last year's budget, it's only a 2% increase. So the town typically only spends 96 or 97% of its budget, which it can't spend more than 100% of its budget by law. So, yeah. So everybody has a copy. Does anybody have any questions?
no questions? Okay.
Good job, Helen.
Yes, good job.
Good job, Howard. We really disagree with you.
Yes, I know, but I did talk about Helen, too.
And
We're
I
still
really
over
wanted
last
to
year's
have
budget.
I wanted to just briefly touch on our revenue. And just to kind of leave, that was a nice segue, what the town doesn't spend goes into the unassigned fund balance. And for instance, to set the tax rate this time around, I believe $350,000 of your money was given back to you to keep that tax rate a little lower. so that's great. But what we're looking at is, what that means is we have about $899,245 remaining in the fund balance. Well, the grand total of estimated revenues is,
That's without an audited 17.
yes,
So that 899 will probably be increased by something over 90,000 for
mhm,
those underspent budget of 17.
okay. The grand total of estimated revenues is $3,144,875 then. Any questions on that? How the Board of Selectmen came up about that?
I'm wondering what the boat is that we're gonna sell for 25,000.
We're
About,
not selling the boat for 25,000. That's our participation in boat registrations.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
We did add a line for the sale of the code enforcement
Right, I
officer's
saw that,
truck.
that's why I thought that.
And we didn't add anything for the sale of the fire engine because that isn't gonna happen until next year. The old fire engine, because the new fire engine doesn't come until next year.
yes, Gary?
What is the average reserve fund balance from year to year? This construction is a little bit low relative to
It is. This
previous years.
is the first time in a while, I think it's been below $1 million. And it's because we took, the Board of Selectmen, just, oh, go right ahead, Chip. Took $350,000. Go ahead, Chip, you
The
explain.
recommendation is that have somewhere around 10% of your operating budget unassigned fund balances, which would be about $370,000. We're actually, I think, at 27% currently. And we're gonna use a little more of that fund balance next year, just to moderate the changes that have happened, because we've got a lot of warrant articles this year.
Yeah.
And we're trying to avoid spikes in the taxes. So if we can make everything level, I mean, I think our rough pencil sketch of the next year has somewhere around a 10 or 15% tax increase. So if we can keep it somewhere in that range.
Chip, is there any consequence to us from the state for being so far over the recommendation, or?
No, I mean, I think there's consequences from the public. And this is actually our money that's sitting in a bank account.
Yeah, that we've already been, I mean, we were taxed
We don't have
on
any-
it already.
There's no law that says we have to have any undesignated fund balance.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just reasonable to have somewhere around 10 or 15% of your budget's covered in case something major happens. But, I mean, the calamities are generally insured for, but who knows? So there is an argument to be had that we should have a significant fund balance, but having
Sure.
$1 million fund balance is a little excessive for this town.
Any other questions?
Would there be a way of I mean,
Go ahead, what were you saying, Max?
sorry, I thought somebody else started talking.
No, I think you jumped in, go ahead.
Would there be another way to deal with that money so that we would have it in case of, some very real need, but not in this undesignated fund?
Well, that's when you designate them, and then the warrant article, the petition warrant article goes somewhere in that direction. In other words, taking some of the undesignated fund balance and designating it for equipment purchases. We had talked about taking $50,000 of the undesignated fund balance and designating it, making a different fund for health insurance premium payments.
Right.
So there are ways that we can work with it. But didn't do it this year, mostly because we need to go through a number of decisions that are important.
Or just drastically, for a 1 year period, reduce the tax rate?
Sure, we could take out $500,000 and drop the tax rate. But the problem with doing that is that the next year it's gonna spike back
Right.
up again. I mean, the whole idea is to have some sort of moderate 1 or 2% growth, sort of like inflation, so that people can live with it.
Did anyone on this side have any other comments?
Bill did. Come on, Bill.
No, that's fine.
Jump in.
No, I think we've discussed this enough for this forum, so I'm
You're okay?
yeah.
Okay. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. I don't think we have anything else to discuss, if there aren't any more questions, so may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Good night, everyone, thank you for coming, good to see you at the town meeting. Yes, thank you.
Carla,
Yes.
the committee, the last budget committee needs to vote on the final budget. The last thing they do after they hear.
They already